Have you ever felt that in the most pivotal moment, when you try to open your soul to someone, words simply fail you? You speak of your pain, your love, or your discovery. The person across from you nods, but deep down, you feel it. They don't truly hear you. They hear a version of you filtered through their own selves. We've been taught to see this as a mistake, a fixable glitch in communication. We get hurt, we demand to be understood, and we spend years trying to be heard. But what if I told you that perfect understanding between human beings is an illusion? A beautiful, yet impossible myth. Today, I want to take you on a journey through the layers of the human experience and explore why our inability to truly know one another is actually what preserves our soul's uniqueness. We will explore why we are biologically, psychologically, and even metaphysically locked within ourselves, and why this trap is, in fact, the greatest gift of being human. Let's start with the foundation, our biology. In philosophy, there's a profound term, Qualia. It refers to our purely subjective, individual experiences. Imagine we are both watching a crimson sunset. We both agree it's red, but I will never, truly never, know how you perceive that red. My brain interprets signals through the lens of my unique neural pathways, shaped by every second of my life. For me, that red might be velvet and warm. For you, it might be sharp and anxious. We give things the same names, but inside, we inhabit different worlds. Your joy is not identical to mine. Your pain feels different than mine. We are like two isolated computers that can exchange messages but can never share the same processor. We are biologically shrink-wrapped into the vessel of our bodies. And the first truth to accept is this: we are not physically wired for a total merge. If biology locks us in our bodies, language locks us in our minds. Ludwig Wittgenstein once said, "The limits of my language mean the limits of my world." Think about it. Everything we feel, the vast, chaotic, roaring ocean of our inner lives, we try to squeeze through the narrow bottleneck of words. A word is always a simplification. It's a label we slap onto an infinite depth. When I say I'm scared or I love you, I am sending you a compressed file, a surrogate of my feeling. But in the transfer, data is inevitably lost. You hear my love and decode it based on your history, your heartbreaks, and your definitions. In the end, we don't exchange feelings, we exchange shadows. We try to build a bridge of words, but it always stops halfway, leaving us in a void of guesswork. But even if words were perfect, there is another gatekeeper, our experience. In psychology, there's a concept called apperception. We never perceive reality as it is. We perceive it through the filter of what we already know. We never hear another person clearly. We hear them through the haze of our expectations, fears, and old traumas. If we carry a fear of rejection, we hear indifference in a loved one's silence. If we are full of self-criticism, we hear an attack in a friend's kind advice. Essentially, we live in a world of projections. As Carl Jung suggested, we often see not the other person, but our own shadow cast upon them. We aren't talking to a human being, we're talking to our hallucinations of them. We argue with the images in our heads and fall in love with our own illusions. In this psychological hall of mirrors, finding the true other is a near impossible feat. But let's go deeper. On a metaphysical level, our inability to understand each other ceases to be a curse and becomes a fundamental condition of existence. Many spiritual traditions suggest that we are sparks from the same fire, drops from the same ocean. But for the ocean to know itself, it had to divide into billions of separate drops. For an I to exist, there must be a boundary. Misunderstanding is that sacred boundary. It protects your individuality. Imagine for a moment that all barriers vanished and you felt the thoughts and pain of every person on earth as intensely as your own. Yourself would simply dissolve. We don't fully understand each other precisely, so that we can remain ourselves. Our separation isn't a system error. It's the safeguard that allows us to have a unique experience. We are like planets, each with our own gravity and atmosphere. We can signal each other, we can admire our neighbor's light, but we cannot leave our orbit. And in this solitude of planets, there is a majestic beauty. When we accept that total understanding is impossible, a quiet revolution occurs. Violence leaves our lives. Think of how often we torture those we love with the demand, "Understand me." We want them to become an extension of us. But to demand to be understood is to demand that the other person stop being themselves and become your mirror. Philosopher Karl Jaspers called the authentic encounter between two people a loving struggle. It's not when we are identical. It's when we acknowledge the abyss between us. And yet, we choose to stand at the edge of that abyss and look at each other with love. When you accept that you will never fully solve the mystery of another person, you finally begin to see them. Not your projection, not your expectation, but a living, incomprehensible universe walking beside you. In the end, the understanding trap is a liberation. Once you stop wasting energy, try to prove your truth, or dissolve into another, you free up energy to simply be. You no longer need to be understood to be valid. You don't need someone else to confirm your feelings for them to be real. Perhaps the highest form of intimacy isn't when two people understand each other perfectly. It's when one says, "I don't know what you are feeling, but I believe your pain. I don't see the world through your eyes, but I'm glad you are here in your uniqueness." In this world of sealed rooms and lonely planets, the only bridge that actually works isn't understanding, it is acceptance. And perhaps that is more than enough.